all about coaching. See, that game was basically, in as much as the players were good, one from the bench. Would you compare the experience of the two managers on that day? It is very, very important. And sometimes when players are also playing for a substantive coach, they don't really tend to give their all because they know that very soon, the coach might be changed or another man might come in. Okay. And NSOATREMAN folks should have learned from this when they appointed David Oklu as a caretaker coach. It took them a long time before they brought in Martin Koopman. And then the problem exists. And I think, talking about strikers, they equally need strikers. They equally need strikers.
No, ACCRA will be registered. I'm sure he's in. ACCRA is in.
So
yes,
he's out
and he's back.
Went out of the country.
They're registering him. And then what I know about CC, that
was with them pre-season.
He came late, but I'm sure he also be registered. So that's why I spoke about like HeartsOfOak players themselves need to lift themselves up. Amankwa Befi was one of the finest players last season that HeartsOfOak can talk about. Today, how do you see him? He's down. Obi Engineer is off. Eric Esso, you cannot count on him. Even Linda last season was phenomenal for HeartsOfOak. What has happened to him? It comes down to coaching, and he's mentioned Oklu as stepped-in coach or what. Mingle, I'm praising Mingle because he took Nations, and at a point they were at the last bottom of the league. Today he's fourth on the league table. So, and watching the game against HeartsOfOak, I spoke about the changes that he made, and that turned the fortune for him to get that equalizer. So for me, I think that I also support those who are saying that HeartsOfOak need a substantive coach who will be able to turn things around for them.
So that was HeartsOfOak there drawing. But Kumasi Asante Kotoko were also in action yesterday, and with the form in which they are in, winning their last 4 competitive games, their fans were hoping that they will brush off Great Olympics, but it wasn't meant to be. I spoke with Saint Osei, the communication director of Great Olympics, on Max 89.7 FM before this game, and he said yes, even though they are playing this game, as I told you, we started last Friday and we are left with just a game to wrap up because that game between Heart of Lions Mediema postponed, as well as Karela against Dreams FC. So Adriana beating Bechem United by a goal to nil, and HeartsOfOak also drawing 1-1 with Nations FC. Great Olympics holding Kotoko to a goalless draw at the Bayera Sports Stadium. With Babiani Gold Stars, they seem to be back on track. Ronald Frimpong sending me a message. You'll see our wins have started. They also beat Samatex by 3-0, and that was a surprising result. Brekum Chelsea also defeating RTU by a goal to nil, and Legon Cities under par Kwesi Fabian also getting a 1-0 victory over Bofuakwa Tano. Today it is Accra Lions against NSOATREMAN. Coach, quick one. Bofuakwa Tano, ever since they were banned from using the Sunyani Coronation Park, they failed to win a game.
Of course, I mean, they lost their coach, that is Frimpong Manson. And now they have... yes, of course. And now they have John Eduafo, a former assistant coach of Kotoko. And then
Achim Kotoko Royals.
Achim Kotoko Royals. Dreams FC still believe. And
that's experience.
He's a very good coach. But I think that they need their support back. I mean, talking about their supporters. You watch the game against Accra Lions. You watch them against HeartsOfOak. And even against Babiani Gold Stars and all that, how they supported their team. When the ball gets into the back of the net, they don't even score. Goal. That is it. But it is their own doing. That is why the team is suffering. Because at the end of the day, if they are not attacked, Maswell cannot do and his team. Remember the game between them and the Accra Lions? They attacked the Star Times crew, but they never came out to apologize or say anything. But for me, I think that, I believe that, look.
Yeah, I remember the first 6 matches, they were on top.
Of course.
They are now 12 on the table.
You see, and for me, it's sad. That was the reason why even their game that they played at Abrankesi, I thought it was not good for them to have played there because from Sunyani to Abrankesi, you are not punishing them. They should have been taken to Takwa, the Akon Park to play. As they were taken to the Theatre of Dreams and they play. You see, football has changed to understand football.
Okay.
By attacking somebody doesn't mean that you are going to win the game.
Okay.
So I'm sure that the authorities and the management and the board of Bofuakwa Tano have learned the lessons, and I'm sure they will put things in place. When they get back to the Coronation Park, I'm sure they do the right thing.
A hard lesson for them. But let's turn our attention to the game of the day. It is Accra Lions coming up against Inform NSOATREMAN. But NSOATREMAN have also had a blip on the way as they lost their last game against Karela. So that is the dressing room of Accra Lions there. A very young team, play very, very delightful football. But usually they are being criticized for not adding maturity to their game. This is how they made their way to the Sogakope Wafa Park there, where they will be taking on NSOATREMAN this afternoon. Their last 2 games have ended in a defeat for them. They lost against Nations FC and they lost 4-0 against Becheb United. So they will be also looking at bouncing back. Felix Romack, Accra Lions themselves did not really start the league well, but they've been able to pick up some points. Currently, they are 13th. At a point, they were in the relegation zone. Ibrahim Tanko says that they are a young team, so people should not be hard on them. But their fans also say this is the Ghana Premier League and you need to show maturity.
Of course. Sometimes you watch them and they're a very good team. But the maturity aspect, I think they need it because, see, there are moments in the game where they could have hold on. And Mutala, you look at them.
Now, is the maturity about the age of the players?
Not
or
the age, but
the
experience. This is their 3rd season in the Ghana Premier League. And they still have some players around. So they still need maturity with longevity in the league. Comes to tell in most of the game. And Mutala, you look at the kind of investment they are doing as a club. Staying in the Ghana Premier League will be very beneficial to the project that they've set their eyes to do. You've had Lothar Matthäus invest over €2 million into the club. And if you stay in the Ghana Premier League, you give these players great exposure. So it is good for them to be in the Ghana Premier League. And in the last two seasons, they struggled to avoid the drop. Last season, they survived on the last day of the season. And if Kinfesa had won their Zone 1, it's one thing that, Ibrahim Tanko might not want them to. And my problem is defense. They are conceding too many goals, Mutala. They are the 2nd team that have conceded most in the league this season. They've conceded 21 goals in the Ghana Premier League. Only RTU, have conceded more, which is 26. So they need to work on their defense. If you talk about teams that play very, expansive and offensive football, they are one of the teams. And I think that it is something that they really need to work on. So
NSOATREMAN are also fifth on the table, 24 points. A win today will do them a lot of good. Accra Lions are 13th. Coach, let's talk about NSOATREMAN and Maxwell Kunedu. But first off, let's talk about Manaf Umar. And Kofosi Black Star, he scored 6 goals for NSOATREMAN, formerly of Heart of Folk, formerly of RTU. This is the head-to-head of the two teams, just 2 games between them. NSOATREMAN beating Accra Lions 3-0 and Accra Lions getting the 2-0 win over them. But Manaf Umar is a transformed player.
He's a very good player, no doubt about it. But it's about roles, it's about positioning, and it's about what the coach wants. He's not an influential player in NSOATREMAN setup. He's not. If you ask me, you talk of the player who is influencing the NSOATREMAN team, he's not.
So
when we talk of the Black Stars today, my issue is we have Pate, Salis, Baba Idrisu, Edmond, Ado. These are central midfielders. Or probably let's call them pivots.
Yeah.
Majid Ashimeru, Kofi Chire. These are creative players.
Progressive
apart from
passes of the ball.
I won't use Kudus as well.
Yeah.
So apart from these 2 players, somebody should mention one of the Black Star players who plays like these players that I'm talking about. So we are looking for a player who will be like Majid Ashimedu, who will be sending those passes to Inaki Williams, Antoine Semenyo, Jordan Ayus,
Coach, not to cut you. You watch and you see those passes from Paqueta. That is the kind of players we want.
It's not about people are talking about stats. I don't have any problem with that.
They said he scored 6 goals.
They said I think I scored 10.